The Arcturian group, not what you expected, dear readers. These messages are intended to help you who chose to be on Earth at this time to better understand what is presently taking place. Many of you had concepts about what the ascension process would look like, and what is presently unfolding is not what you had expected. What you are seeing in the outer world is not just three-dimensional business as usual, but represents a phase of the divine plan that is moving Earth and collective consciousness closer to reality. Earth is not an inanimate piece of dirt to be used and abused, but is a living soul, an expression of the divine just as every individual and life form is. Most as of yet do not realize this but are moving and will continue to move closer to it. The dense three-dimensional energies you see presently manifesting on Earth are not the new and higher resonating ones of ascension but are of the past, serving as catalysts to open the eyes of those choosing to remain aligned with duality, separation, control, and domination as they surface in order to be seen, rejected, and cleared. Evolved masters throughout time have attempted to explain oneness to anyone who would listen, but the majority continues to live in, experience, and view life through conditioned states of consciousness. God has never expressed itself as any form of separation because separation does not and cannot exist in omnipresence. God knows nothing about what mankind is ignorantly dreaming. However, being creators, the collective acceptance of and belief in separation as reality has and continues to manifest as an illusory three-dimensional world. No one can remain forever in a state of illusion because the reality of being divine consciousness will at a point of readiness break through anything having no law to support or sustain it. Experiences of separation eventually bring every person to seek something other than the constant struggle, disease, and suffering they are used to. The divine spark that every person carries within is always whispering that there is more. Earth was not meant to be a three-dimensional school of evolution but became one under the influence of a collective consciousness based in separation. Mankind has reached a place of spiritual readiness for the ascension process. Much is about to unfold both globally and personally. Because the intense waves of high-frequency energy now pouring to Earth are increasing and automatically affecting everything of a lower resonance, the result of which can be seen in the activities of chaos and fear you are witnessing. Incoming high-frequency energies are integrating into the cells of the body, causing some individuals to have a physical reaction. Some physical cells are interpreting the new, higher, and different frequencies as being foreign objects, and are manifesting forms of resistance, immune system reactions, pain, allergies, nausea, etc. If this is your experience, don't panic. Do what you need to do to be comfortable. You may need some temporary help from your physician, but most won't. If you need to get some outside help, do it without thinking that you are reverting to an old state of consciousness. Help is available on all levels and is an expression of love even when seen as being ordinary and three-dimensional. The main thing is to remember who and what you really are, and that what you are going through is an important part of your journey out of the old. Speak to your cells and tell them what is happening. Love your body, pamper it a bit, but most importantly, trust the process to unfold as it needs to, because your higher self is in charge. These things are temporary. Resist nothing. Survival on Earth has always been somewhat dependent on a person's ability to control situations, but striving to always being in control is a third-dimensional concept based in fear. Control is doing whatever it takes to make people and situations do and be the way the controller thinks they must be, in the belief that their control is for the betterment of everyone involved, even when it involves force rather than firm, loving guidance. Actions based in control underlay the decisions and actions of all who live from three-dimensional state of consciousness. Parents, families, government, religion, education, law, etc., and continues to be considered normal living. Anxiety, depression, and worry flow from feelings of not being in control, but spiritual evolution requires that at some point every person stop trying to control according to three-dimensional concepts of how things must be, and allow the real you, the divine self within, to control. As the AA saying goes, let go and let God. Not some nebulous God out there somewhere, but the real God within. Every time you find yourself trying to make something happen, force an outcome, or believe that something has failed because it did not meet your or the world's expectations, sit back and examine yourself for control issues. Ask yourself, what am I believing that is making me feel this way? In the light of what I now know, is it true? Remember, everything in consciousness, big or small, will manifest because as expressions of God, you are creators, and consciousness is the substance from which you create. We are not saying to sit back doing nothing when situations arise that need addressing, saying, "Oh, God will do it." For that is almost always pretending a state of consciousness not yet attained. We are saying that you are entering a time of surrender, a spiritual readiness to step aside and consciously allow the wisdom, intelligence, power, completeness, life, abundance, and control that is already fully present within, to be in control. Control is a tool that was necessary for survival in the past, but that has changed as consciousness has evolved. However, because it remains a firmly established and universally acceptable means of keeping things the way society believes they must be, control continues to influence the simplest and most ordinary decisions of daily living with family, friends, play, work, and even in one's spiritual journey. Recognize habits of control in situations where you find yourself doing and saying everything you can to make some outcome conform to the way you think it must be. Spiritually, you are ready to surrender control to the real controller, the divine consciousness that you are, the real self silently awaiting recognition. Allow the process, which involves no longer accepting and surrendering to three-dimensional concepts and beliefs, but rather accepting that the real you, divine consciousness individualized, is by divine law the only real control, infinitely governing, maintaining, and sustaining itself as. Go within often during the day, if even for a second, to remind yourself that I am. You are in a powerful time of the ascension process right now, even if it seems as if things are in a holding pattern. The incoming high resonating light energies are going to expose information that will leave even those of you who are aware of it to be shocked and unbelieving. Exposure must happen in order for the long-hidden controlling activities of those attempting to maintain the illusion of separation to be seen by the majority. Be prepared, because you will be helping many who simply do not understand what is happening or why. Long-established foundations built from illusion must crumble in order for new, higher, and more real ones to replace them. Rest in truth. Let go of attempts to control in the realization that a divine controller is already fully present and functioning within. Allow the process, surrendering to the reality that you are. We are the Arcturian group.